I'm gonna start trying to take advantage, I think, of streaming to Twitch too. I got a pretty sizable following over there, so the idea was to always do Twitch, but to combine a couple interviews, because you want to stream for like 2 hours, but my interviews are like half an hour, so like patch like four of them together.
Mhm.
But maybe the live stream would be good, and then I can always do like a restream later. We are excellent across the board, and I'm good on my end. Are you good on yours?
Yeah, let's rock.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
perfect. Let's begin in 3, 2, 1. Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with our returning guest, Lewis Southard. We're here to break down Flash Gordon Quarterly Issue 1, The Fall of King Vultan. Is it Vultan or Vultan?
I believe it's Vultan.
Vultan. And everything in between. You already have a physical copy. Very nice. Hold that back up for us.
This is Flash Gordon #1 of the
number
main
one.
book.
Okay.
So that's by Jeremy Adams and Will Conrad, everyone in that team. That just came out last week.
Okay.
But I'm
So-
part of the sister book. I'm part of Flash Gordon Quarterly.
So welcome back to the stream. What's been up since you last been on, man?
Oh, so much character development, so many career-defining moments. I'm rich, I'm successful, powerful, have a harem. It all happened after comics are dying. No, but seriously, since last time you helped me out, a big deal with Comics Are Dying. We managed to fund and we managed to get well beyond that to some of our stretch goals. So overall, that project was a huge success, and I thank you for having me on then, and I thank you again for having me on today. So that was really cool. Other than that, I've been working on a lot of different projects, but this right now is quite possibly the biggest thing happening. It's expectedly happening, and I'm just very excited to talk about it with you today.
Yeah, congratulations. For everyone watching, right here is a link to pre-order Flash Gordon Quarterly Issue #1. This is dropping September 4th. Cutoff date is what, in the beginning of August?
August 5th. So
August
right
5th.
now, right now they hit me by surprise. I wasn't supposed to be in Flash Gordon Quarterly #1. I was supposed to be in 2 or 3, but the license holders did not approve of some of the stories ahead of time. But mine managed to slip in, and they said
Okay.
this one can go in Quarterly #1. So I'm never gonna say no to being in a issue 1. So, but then they said like, okay, you're unexpectedly in the book. Now you have like a week and a half to promote it, get those FOC pre-orders in. So I got to hustle, I got to grind, and I got to make sure everyone gets their copy or 5 copies of this story. I'm very excited to share it with everyone.
So how did things go with Comics Are Dying from Zoop? How was that campaign for you? What was the in between like for you?
Well, we funded in like let's say the first 2 days or day and
Hmm.
a half, so that was the easy bit. Afterwards, it was mainly just trying to reach the stretch goals because there was one goal where it was basically adding like Easter eggs or like the complete like what everything means in the book.
Hmm.
While the next one was adding 10 more additional art pages to the book. We did manage to get the first stretch goal. So we bumped up the graphic novel from 120 pages to 176. So that everyone's getting a lot more bang for their buck with that. And then we unfortunately did not reach the other stretch goal. And like with a lot of campaigns, after it's all wrapped up, you get a handful of people saying, "Oh, hey, I missed out on it. Like, where could I get it?" And with a lot of crowdfunding, you can't, unfortunately. But luckily, this past week was San Diego Comic Con, and Zoop was gracious and amazing enough to bring back the campaign for as a Zoop exclusive drop for the week of San Diego Comic Con. So a lot of people that missed it initially got to get it this time around, which is great. And I think this is pretty safe to say at this point, but the books are heading straight to the printers,
Okay.
or the pages are going straight to the printers, and hopefully the book will be in everyone's bookshelves and collections within the year. But if not within the year, then I'd say early 2025. But
So,
the cal
oh, go ahead.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, was there any special sort of like marketing that you were able to do during this time? I know that you've kind of been like, like you probably didn't get a chance to go to SDCC, right?
Oh no,
Yeah, yeah,
that's too costly. But
yeah. So, was there anything that maybe Zoop did or that you were able to do in terms of marketing to help promote it?
Zoop, I was like with a lot of crowdfunding, it's mainly hinging on me, but I can't lie. Like, this was a very stacked book. There were over 100 fantastic artists working on it, as well as a lot of other great creators like Mark Wade, who helped with the forward. Everyone shared it. There was a lot of manpower, and a lot of people wanted to support each other and support themselves and support the overall book. So we certainly had a strength in numbers aspect, and I made sure to promote the hell out of it, popping onto shows like this and talk about it. But it was, yeah, no, we all really tried extremely hard to get it out there, and we pulled it off. We pulled it off.
So let's, talk about what we're here to talk about. Flash Gordon. How did this happen for you?
Well, I've been. This all starts with the great Mad Cave editor Chas Pangburn, who is part of their licensing department, and I was speaking with him about another project that I cannot talk about, and he was like, "Hey, we're thinking about maybe getting you onto another book. Would you be interested in that?" I'm like, "Well, yes, I'd love to write anything." And then he's like, "Okay, great. We have these two titles. Would you like to do those?" And I was like, "Chaz, I have no idea what they are, so I don't think I'm the right guy." And then he said, "Okay, well, there is this third one. You have a secret hidden third option
Hmm.
that I could float to you." And I'm like, "Okay, and what's that?" It's like, "Do you know what Flash Gordon is?" And then I was like, "Well, yes, I do." And it's like, "Okay, you can do that then." And I'm like, "Awesome." So we had a big meeting and we talked about the quarterly. So right now, Mad Cave has a great initiative. They have they have the Flash Gordon brand, as we said. It launched last week with Jeremy Adams' great issue 1, setting up the stage. Let's say your mind's eye Flash Gordon, whether it be the movie, the old cartoon, the serials from the 30s, or even the old comic strip. Let's say all that happened, and right now we're taking it, or Jeremy's taking it like, what happens after all that? So
Yeah.
it's a fresh take. It's not a full on reboot. It's a continuation. So we in the quarterly, in the sister book, get to play with the world he has now made or ushered in. And Dennis Culver of Doom Patrol fame, he's taking on the main universe tie-in, which is all about Prince Vultan. And then me and the great writer Jordan Thomas, we are taking on, or at least we're opening up, the Flash Gordon multiverse.
That's so
So
cool.
we are doing Flash fiction stories. Jordan's is a noir take on Flash Gordon. I think it's Flash Investigative Services is the name of his. Meanwhile, I am taking Flash to the Wild West.
Hmm.
So I have the Battle of Little Mingo is my short story.
That's cool,
Uh,
man.
so basically, this is the beginning of the Flash Gordon multiverse. You get to see. I've been calling it Earth 2 and Earth 3 of this new chapter. So I think that's very cool. It's so neat to take the characters into some fresh and different takes, and I think I'm really lucky to be in the book with some of these great guys, as well as some great artists. I'm working with artist Nuno Platti, I believe is his name, who has worked with Marvel on some Spider-Man titles. And he's a great guy to work with. And then we have Joao Lemos as the colorist. And this one I was very happy with. I've been working with the same letterer for 6 years now on everything, every
Hmm.
project. And I was like, can we work together on this one with Mad Cave? Buddy Baudouin or Baudouin. And then they're like, of course. So the fact that we can keep that going, like from like creator owned, like the early days to work for hire stuff together is like a really neat little thing with like a collaborative partner to just keep going. I think that was really cool. So, but overall, the team has been absolutely killer. The pages look great, and it's all really thanks to Chaz. At the end of the day, he's a great editor and a good dude.
That's really cool. So tell us a little bit, I guess, in a nutshell, what Flash Gordon is.
Okay. Well, if we're gonna go back, it depends on the take, but in this one, there's a star athlete. He's the greatest of them all. And one day, him and his lady fella, his lady girl, his best girl, his favorite girl, Dale Arden, are accosted by Dr. Hans Zarkov. He's saying there's an alien planet coming to Earth, and it's going to destroy Earth. It's going to affect Earth. We have to do something about it. So, in his deranged mind, he's gone a bit manic. Let's say that he takes them to this planet, and sure enough, tyranny. The planet is under siege by an oppressive force that could only be known as Ming the Merciless, and basically they become the resistance force, and Flash Gordon becomes the savior of the universe in this little tale of good versus evil. So for those of you who don't know what Flash Gordon is, that's a little springboard. But I think a good thing to say is that Flash Gordon is actually the inspiration for Star Wars,
Yeah.
because George Lucas wanted the rights, couldn't get it, ended up making Star Wars instead.
That's I actually did not know that part. And I didn't know Flash Gordon. I knew it was older, but I didn't know exactly how old it was, and it goes back quite some time. How does it feel to be picking up a title with this much legacy to it?
I think it's cool. Like, it's what, nearly 100, nearly a century years old, like a year old. Like that's crazy to think about. But there's a reason why it's never gone away, because it's a great, like, classic American tale. But what's funny is it was the competitor for Buck Rogers, if you know
Hmm.
what that is. Yeah, so like it's a Hydrox Oreo situation when we think of retro sci-fi. Flash Gordon usually takes the cake there. But I don't know. I think there's a reason it keeps coming back. I think as a fan of comics, I love old pulp heroes, and I love, like, some classic good and evil like storylines. And this is usually like the poster child for that, especially in the sci-fi arena. So like getting to explore that, get to deal with these characters, and get to I'm a sucker for comic book history, so getting to learn a lot about the like the Alex Raymond stuff and some of the more obscure characters and
Hmm.
villains and stuff like that has been real fun. I've been trying to get the editor Chaz to let me write a really obscure villain, and I need everyone to do hashtag We Want Pyron. I want to bring back Pyron the Comet Master. So if
Hmm.
you tell Mad Cave that you demand it, hopefully I'll get to do that next.
So your story, it seems like, is taking on like a rather large part of Flash Gordon's history, or after the events, which I think is really cool too. That you guys are like almost continuing the canon of this. Uh, what type of research did you do? Like, how did you get invested enough to like learn about this world to create this story?
Well, I knew. I was saying to someone that I knew about Buck Rogers before Flash Gordon, and that's just thanks to my dad. He would often joke that anything I liked, whether it been like Star Wars or Spider Man, he just called it Buck Rogers. Everything was Buck Rogers. And then when I was a kid growing up, there was the Duck Dodgers cartoon show
Hmm.
with Daffy Duck. I remember that. And then it wasn't until I watched the movie Ted when I was like 13, 14, that I learned what Flash Gordon proper was, because the actor that played him in the 80s movie comes in, and then they do like this whole dumb flashback to the movie and stuff like that, except Mark Wahlberg's there flying around with them. And then later on, when I got into comics, like I said, I'm a big into comic book history. I wrote a book about comic book history, so I like dug deep into learning about like the origins of Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, what's the difference between the two of them, and why they stand apart, and how they affected things later on in the long run. In terms of researching for this story, I did look at some of the Alex Raymond stuff, and I forget what his name is, but the guy that came after it, I think his last name is McBoy, something like that, because I am a sucker for like the more vintage interpretation than, let's say, the '80s movie. I think
Hmm.
the '80s movie is good in its own right, but this is clearly going in a different direction. There were some relaunches happening some years prior. There was the Dynamite one with by Jeff Parker that did very well, but this one seems to be really that one was more of a prequel and retelling. This is a continuation, and Mad Cave's doing something great where they're not just connecting it to uh, Flash's history, but also some of the, let's say, expanded universe of like King features in Flash. So there's Defenders of the Earth, the cartoon, but with the excellent theme song written by Stan Lee from the '80s, and that has the Phantom and Mandrake the Magician and Lothar. So you get to, if you like that version, that's coming back, written by Dan DiDio of DC fame. The Quarterly is doing like the supporting cast of the Flash Gordon universe, or some of the more lesser known characters,
Hmm.
as well as the Flash multiverse. They're doing a kids line with Flash Gordon Adventures by Franco and Art Baltazar. And then they're doing all of the reprints of some of the stories from as early as the '30s and as recently as let's say the '80s. So
Okay.
like that's really cool. Mad Cave is doing excellent with this. Like they're really trying to expand the brand and like make sure every facet of this character is like being used properly and really being explored.
That is really, really cool. So, is the quarterly going to be like 4 issues a year, or how many issues can we expect from that branch of it?
It will be 4 issues a year, so one for every quarter of the year.
Hmm.
I think September, December, March, and then I'll let the audience decide what that fourth month is.
So, are you're just involved with the one issue, or are you going to have another story in these quarterlies as well?
Well, this is not a secret. Depending on how well the reception is, and if there is interest, I haven't even really sold the story. So, the Battle of Little Mingo is about a small town under siege. Only one sheriff can protect it when the oppressive governor of the valley has arrived to raze it to the ground. Dun dun dun. So that is the setup. It's a good old classic Western tale, but what's cool is the artist has really we talked about it. We made it a like sci-fi western combo. So like people look like cowboys, but you'll have like alien cowboys or alien horses, and everyone's using ray guns and shotguns and stuff like that. So like kind of a neat Star Warsy Mandalorian vibe there. So I think that's really cool. But depending on the reception, people want to see this. It can either expand to another short story or hopefully a spin-off to see where this universe can go. And because it is an alternate reality, we can go in a lot of more different directions than we could with the main reality. So it's definitely a nice creative playground.
So, speaking of creative playground, what was like some of the do's and don'ts that you received from Mad Cave Studios, and the other part of that where it has to like approve, like make sure this is going with the franchise? Like, was there like a pretty large Bible for you to follow, or?
Well, Jeremy basically has made the Bible. He's set up what the universe is from this point onward. Uh, but it's all mainly dependent on King Features, which is the parent company that originated Flash Gordon, as well as Phantom Mandrake and all those. So they kind of are looking at it with like a nice 21st century lens. They don't really want to just keep telling the same story over and over again. So I admire that, as well as having more modern interpretations of the characters. This is not a secret either, but I think we can look back on those older stories and say that Ming the Merciless is more of like a Fu Manchu Asian stereotype character. So obviously we want to step away from that and have some more modern interpretations, respecting like how people look, obviously, as well as avoiding stereotypes and negative depictions, and stuff like that. So while there's not really any like hard lines to cross, it's more being a bit more sensitive to the culture and times we currently live in, which is perfectly fair because uh, the world's going to change between 100 years. So I think that's totally fair. But they've been a dream to work with. They're really supportive of a lot of the kooky and crazy ideas that we've been suggesting to them. So as license holders go, they're pretty good.
That is really cool. And how did the collaborative process look like with this? I know we kind of talked about it with your last book for the Zoop campaign, but that's a little bit different. You're working with like 100 artists. So how did it feel with, working with the team on this one?
No, you're right. Creator owned versus like work for hire. This is my first work for hire gig. Like night and day, night and day. Because comics are dying. Probably took 5 years off my life trying to wrangle that many people and trying to make sure everything's perfect. But as work for hire goes, I've written my script. I work with the team around that, but I do not have to like I am not the leader, so to speak. I am just part of the team, and I think for me personally, I needed that for my mental health going forward. So it's definitely more easygoing, but still fun, and still I get to be creatively involved with the art team, which is still good because it is my story too.
Yeah, and it is very gorgeous as well. That cover looks very awesome. I mean, it sounds really insane. What type of adventure can we expect from Flash Gordon in a Western?
Well, do want to play with some Western tropes. We do want to play with not. We want to play the hits, but do some a bit different too. Uh, the villain that we have in it is he's got a lot of personality. He's pretty dynamic. He's grandiose, and our sheriff Gordon is a good old classic Boy Scout. In a let's say he's got his wall. He's got his back against the wall, and it's a hopeless situation. So it's pretty dire. I'll say that. Lots of doom and gloom, but maybe there's hope. Maybe there's a
Maybe there
chance.
is hope. How was it redesigning the character too? I know you said you wanted to break away from some of the harmful stereotypes when it first dropped. Did you have like any say into the redesign, or was that kind of all done before?
I got to create a bit of a mood board.
Okay.
So with our three main characters, we have Sheriff Gordon, we have our, let's say, main supporting cast member, and then we have our antagonist. I'm sorry for being vague because right now things have not been like finally approved by the license holder.
Mm-hmm.
So like once that's locked in, I could talk all day long. But right now we're gonna go into ambiguousness. But the mood board basically, I would say stuff like I want to have more of like a Lone Ranger like meets let's say Chris Evans, Captain
Mm-hmm.
America type and stuff like that. My favorite thing was for the villain. I said I want something more like John D. Rocker Duck from DuckTales in terms of his outfit, an all like a nice all white suit. So I think that's the way we went about it there. But the artist Nuno Platti has taken it his own direction as well, had some of his own input and ideas, and I'm really grateful to be working with him. And he's one hell of an artist, so he's really making my words look 10 times better.
That is awesome. Everyone watching, right there is a link in the comments down below to pre-order. Get your pre-orders in because it is going to be wrapping up soon, and this is going to be dropping in September 4th. So just $5.99 to get a copy of this. How many pages is the book going to be altogether?
I believe 32 pages.
Okay. So not too bad. And then we have 3 more issues after this to wrap up the quarterly for this year. How many issues is the main arc going to be? Do you have any idea on that?
Uh, After the issue one, they're taking a month off, and then it should be a monthly book after that, and that's an ongoing.
And you said it was Dennis writing that, correct?
No, Dennis Culver wrote the in-universe
Okay.
short story for ours. Main one is Jeremy Adams of Green Lantern and Flash fame on the mainline book.
That's so cool to be tied with so many big names on this project as well. So everyone, make sure to get those pre-orders in while you still can. Lewis, what's up with you after Flash Gordon? I mean, do you have any other titles that you're working on that you can talk about, or anything for us to maybe expect from you in the future?
Well, like I said, Comics Are Dying, the comic, all supporters of that campaign should be receiving their books later in the year. Anything new, I am currently, this is the one thing I can tease. I'm currently signing, wrapping things up legal wise for hopefully a science fiction graphic novel,
Okay.
which should be coming, let's say, early 2025, if all things go according to plan. So fingers crossed.
That is awesome. So let's begin wrapping things up. You've been on the show before, so you know the drill. We ask for a piece of advice and then what you're consuming outside of creating. So for anyone looking to take on some work for hire with a property that's already been established, what would you say the biggest like golden rule should be when working with a character like that?
I think that if you have a pre-established character, you have to respect what the people that own the character want, while not really trying to retread old ground. I think you really have to get outside the box and creative. But hey, we all like a good old-fashioned pair of slippers, for one reason, because brings comfort. So you can't break it too much, but you got to break it a little bit. But just put a little chip in it. But make sure you can glue that chip back in if need be. So, get creative and still have fun. In terms of what I'm consuming, I've been watching this show on Apple TV called Severance, which is like a sci-fi dark comedy about a company that they put a chip in your brain, and when you go to work, you basically have amnesia and a work personality, and then when you clock off, you go back to normal and you don't remember what you did at work.
Okay.
So it's like you have two different versions of yourself. And the plot of the show is what happens if both those versions try to reach out to one another. So like it's very funny. It's very fun to see like the differences between their real lives and their work lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been loving that. So that's what I've been watching lately.
Yeah, I just had a chance to watch The Bear, and I finished like 2 seasons in a day, and then season 3 I think I finished in like 2 days after that. I gave myself a little bit of a breather, but such a good show. I was not expecting that from like a chef like type of drama show, like how good that was going to be.
How is season 3? I've seen 1 and 2. I haven't.
So season 3 takes away a lot of the anxiety. I really liked The Bear due to like just the chaotic nature of running the restaurant, and season 3 really like dives into like Sydney and Marcus's like story, and I feel like we're really seeing a lot more character development in season 3. So it's actually, people are kind of upset because it takes away from the chaotic nature, I guess, of it, but I think it's setting us up for a really heavy, hard-hitting season 4, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, definitely. I can do without the anxiety in that show. Isn't it always nominated as a comedy?
Yeah.
Like I think having some more low key moments will help.
No, that is awesome. So for everyone watching, right here is the link for the 3rd time. Get your pre-orders in while you still can. This is going to be dropping on September 4th from Mad Cave Studios. We do have to wrap up, so I hope you all have a lovely, lovely Monday. But most importantly, guys, keep it geeky.